Hello, space pilot Mr. Cool Guy here. And, well, how is everybody today? Hmm? Doing good? Ready for some more facts? Well, I mean, obviously, because you're here listening for the facts. So, you know, here's a bonus fact. These facts are interesting, and that's a fact. Ah, alright, it's time for 10 more random facts you may or may not know. Starting with fact number 1, metal marriage. At their wedding in Idaho Falls in 2022, heavy metal music fans Maddie Danger and her groom Jay Aspen exchanged electric guitars instead of rings. They walked down the aisle to the sound of Ozzy Osbourne and left for the reception in a black hearse. They had a black wedding cake decorated with red roses, which they cut with an ornate dagger. Wow. Okay. I mean, that's gotta be the most unique sounding wedding. Like, that is wild. Like, you've heard of the weddings, like a fairy tale wedding, the whatever type of wedding a rich person would have, or, just your standard average wedding. But then, you get this wedding. A metal wedding. Right? But you're not exchanging rings. You're exchanging electric guitars. You're walking down the aisle to heavy metal music. Right? That had to feel like a very cool wedding. That. And to cut the cake with a dagger, normally you use one of them cake serving tools, not a dagger. That's a pretty epic wedding right there. Oh man. Alright. Well, let's move on to fact number 2. New names. The chess piece known as the bishop in English is called the jester in France, the runner in Germany, and the elephant in Russia. That is interesting. I mean, chess pieces used to be different around its, first instances. They didn't have the same pieces that we have today. That's interesting to know that they have different names in different countries, like Jester in France. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I honestly would have expected, like, Runner to be like what they, call the Rook in Germany. You know? But hey, to each their own. And then Elephant in Russia. Interesting choice. Yeah. Well, it's time for fact number 3. Bad bathroom. British travel blogger Graham Askey visited 91 countries and spent $165,000 in search of the world's worst bathroom. He found it in Ayani, Tajikistan, a 5-foot tall or 1.5-meter wooden stall that was infested with rats and venomous snakes and did not have toilet paper. That is, wow, that's a really bad bathroom, and that's a lot of money to spend searching for the world's worst bathroom. But, wow. Rats and venomous snakes. That's... wow. I... It's probably a third world country, so that's probably why the bathroom ain't that great. I mean, yeah. And there's other things you can use besides toilet paper, like if there's leaves or something, right? So that's not really much of a problem, I guess. I mean, you just gotta be careful because of what could be on the leaf. And you gotta be careful what kind of leaf. But, yeah. But, man, this is why you gotta be careful when, using a bathroom. Like them public restrooms. This is why you should always remember to flush and wash your hands with soap. Alrighty, let's move on to fact number 4. Wheat or wine? Wine lactone, the pleasant-smelling compound found in many wines, was first discovered in koala urine. I mean, I didn't drink wine to begin with. Or I should say I don't. I never plan to. But yeah, that okay. You see, why? Like, I'm curious, right? Like, why, how did you find out that there was a pleasant smell in koala urine, right? Right, well, because there's no way. So, like, if you're lost out in, like, the jungle or something, right, you're gonna be desperate enough to get some form of liquid. But there's no way someone was lost in the jungle long enough to be desperate enough to drink koala urine. Right? If there was, then okay. But if not, then why you going and purposely smelling koala urine? That's what I want to know. Right. It's a pleasant smelling compound, right? But just because it smells pleasant doesn't mean it'd be enough to have it be put in wine, right? You'd have to taste it. So, yeah. But, anyways, let's move on to fact number 5. Big loss. Overconfident Dorset soccer fan and businessman Carl Baxter was left with 18,000 unwanted t-shirts that wrongly proclaimed England as winners of the 2022 World Cup. He had them printed ahead of the quarter-final game against France, which England lost 2-1. That, oof. Imagine, you spent so much money on 18,000 t-shirts because you were so sure this team was gonna win, and then they lost. You're gonna be feeling that for a long while, right? Mm. And like, that's a lot of money spent. So you had to convince the person you're living with, right? Like your wife, or if you're living with a roommate or whatever, that this is a good idea. It's a good investment, right? It's totally worth all the money you're gonna spend. You're gonna make it back. Easy peasy. You're so sure of the results. But then you lose. And you come back with those t-shirts. You have to go and explain to them why you still have all the t-shirts. And why you didn't make the money back. That's... that's not gonna be a good conversation. Right? Because you're gonna be on the way home trying to think of how you can soften the blow. Right? Yeah. Alrighty, let's move on to fact number 6. Key calamity. Renee Lariviere from Ontario, Canada was rushed to the hospital after a bizarre accident left her with a car key stuck in her face. Ouch. A friend had casually tossed Renee the key, but it bounced off her hand, punctured her cheek, and wedged 1.5 inches or 3.75 centimeters deep into her nasal cavity. Ugh. A surgeon was able to remove the key and stitch up the wound. Yikes, that had to hurt. Like, how hard did you throw the key for it to be able to wedge into the nasal cavity? Like, I mean, I guess it's possible for the key to bounce out of the hand, but it bounced out of the hand in such a way that it jammed into the nasal cavity. Like, oh man, that friend probably felt so bad, right? They tossed it, and the friend was ready to catch it, and it just, whoop, and then, yeah, you gotta be careful tossing things like that. I know you think, why would I have to worry about tossing a key? What could it possibly do? Well, you just heard of one of the things it could possibly do. Keys are made of metal, and they're not smooth and flat. They got teeth on them to fit into a keyhole, right? They can, stab into you or give a cut, right? Probably not as easily as a knife, but still. Be careful around sharp objects. Anywho, let's move on to fact number 7. Twin tortoise. In September 2022, Janus, a two-headed Greek tortoise at the Geneva Natural History Museum in Switzerland, turned 25 years old. The tortoise would not have survived long in the wild because he is unable to retract his head into his shell to hide from predators. As well as 2 heads, he has 2 hearts, 2 pairs of lungs, and 2 distinct personalities. The right head is more adventurous, while the left head is quieter but loves to eat. For exercise, Janice is taken on regular walks and also rides on a custom-made skateboard. Dang. 2 heads, 2 hearts, 2 pairs of lungs. It's a Time Lord turtle. Nah. That. Oh man. I mean, you've heard of humans with two heads, or, two separate humans that have their heads, attached from birth, right? But man, a turtle with two heads? Yeah, you don't hear of that. That is crazy. And Blue Duke gets his own skateboard for walks. I mean, turtles can be speedy fellows when they want to be. But, now he can, go at the same pace as a human. He doesn't, have to, move the shell around in order to go fast. Right? He gets to take it a bit easy. But yeah, that's crazy though. I mean, it sucks that he can't survive in the wild, and be with his fellow turtle buddies because of the fact that he can't hide in his shell. But at least he's got human buddies, so that's pretty neat. Well, let's move on to fact number 9. Tiger Terror. Archana Chaudhary fought a tiger with her bare hands for 2 minutes to save her 15-month-old son after the beast attacked him in Madhya Pradesh, India. The tiger sank its teeth into the boy's head and started dragging him into the jungle. Ooh. But Archana hit back, and her screams alerted villagers, who chased the tiger away. Dang, that had to have scared the crap out of her. I mean, that tiger was dragging her child away to eat him. Right? Man. That's a brave mother. That's one tough lady right there. Taking on a tiger with her bare hands. Thankfully, the villagers heard her and was able to help her, right? Because that could have ended badly for her. But man, that is something. I mean, you'd be surprised what you can do when your child is in danger. You'll get a burst of energy and strength you didn't even know you had. Let's move on now to fact number 9. Engine excursion. A 4-month-old Shih Tzu Pomeranian mix named Bon Bon survived a 30-mile, 48-kilometer ride in a car's engine compartment. She secretly climbed in, riding all the way to Kansas City, Missouri, and was only discovered when someone heard whimpering coming from a parked car. Bon Bon was later reunited with her grateful owner, Tatiana Chavez. Dang, that's crazy. See, normally when you hear about these kinds of things, it's a cat, right? The cat got into this place and, 'cause cats do what cats do. You don't normally hear about a dog. But that's crazy. That it survived a 30-mile ride in the engine compartment of a car. Like, that could have been very dangerous. But it survived. That's one lucky dog, if you ask me. Man. But don't you go and try it. You're not small enough to fit in there. And even if you were, you're not a dog and you're not a cat. You're less likely to survive something like that. So do not try it. And don't tell me that some of you weren't thinking about it. There's one person out there who was thinking about it. There was one person out there who would. Because that's just the kind of society we live in, unfortunately. Alrighty, let's move on to fact number 10. Snowman statue. In April, villagers in New Glarus, Wisconsin burn a giant snowman effigy called the Boog to banish winter. The 5-foot tall or 1.5-meter snowman is filled with hay and his head is stuffed with fireworks. The ritual is based on a larger event in Switzerland in recognition that the village was founded by Swiss settlers and still has a large Swiss community. This makes about as much sense as determining when spring is going to come based on whether or not a groundhog sees its shadow. Right? Because what are you going to do? Right? If, there's clouds in the sky, it doesn't see its shadow, right? And the opposite happens of what's supposed to happen when it doesn't see its shadow. What are you gonna do then? What you gonna do? Right? I mean, I guess using a groundhog shell to try and determine when spring is gonna come, is better than burning a snowman statue to try and banish winter, because, that's really gonna show Mother Nature. Burn a snowman. Yeah, okay, I get the message, y'all. I'm gonna banish winter. You can have spring now. Leave the snowman alone. What are you gonna do next? You gonna try and push away the hot and cold to try and banish tornadoes? Or are you gonna try and put up a wall to block the wind to banish heavy winds now? What? Alrighty, well, there you have it. There was 10 random facts you may or may not have known, but you know now. Were there any that you knew? If so, let me know down below. And if you have any additional information on the facts that you feel like sharing, because you think it's interesting, then put it down below. Maybe other people will find it interesting. And if you don't know what to say and all you can say is hi, well, hi. If you enjoyed, leave a like. You can subscribe so you don't have to constantly search for me. And, you can hit the notification bell so the second a new batch of 10 facts is dropped, you'll get notified. That way there's a new batch of 10 facts that you might not know that you could learn about. Because they're interesting. Well, to me they're interesting. You might find some interesting, and some you might just be like, what the? Oh, share this with others so they have the chance to hear these 10 random facts that you just heard. Well, anyways, I'm Space Pilot Mr. Cool Guy. And as I always say, when it comes to the facts, dear Space Cadets, to infinity and more facts.